Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today it is time to do the critique of the Wargame Strategist event, and obviously we're going to go through some pros, we're going to go through some of my cons for this event, and generally it's going to be obviously centered around looking at stuff in the game. So if you didn't know, Wargame Strategist has started today. You can find all of the stuff here in the workshop and then also the map. Obviously I haven't started yet because I'm going to be streaming it. So if you didn't know, I'm just going to be streaming it every day, so if there's any calls for if I actually did the event or anything like that, they can be easily stricken by some Twitch VODs. So check that out on Twitch, so there's a link below if you are interested. Now, let's talk about the pros. So for me, the theme of this event is amazing. The idea of a strategist event around the kind of green army men is something that I personally grew up with, whether it was in video games or whether it was in other areas of life, actually getting all the little models and playing with them. I did this as a kid, and I've got to say, this is very nostalgic for me, seeing all of these images, seeing all of these models, and creating a scenario where you're actually assaulting a base, doing it through these steps. I think this is a really awesome theme. I think that personally for me, it's just a really nice, part of the game. When it came to the space race event, I thought that was kind of a unique theme too, but didn't really have a lot to do with general War Thunder or, war in general, where this, you can see how it is, you are literally playing a war game, which is pretty awesome. Also the fact that there is little hidden elements in here which break up just infantry versus everything, the fact that you have the sabotage group which can obviously take down the buildings, and the fact that if you take down a building it does give you something, like this one gives you 20 pieces of materials. Taking down an observation post declassifies all enemy armies within a radius of 2 sectors and accelerates the attack time of them by 5 times, so it means you can get through these quicker. The fact that all of these have little things to them and there is stuff integrated inside of the inside of the actual directions themselves, I think is really cool. The basis for this workshop event is easily the best that they've done, just because I think it's just really cool that we have this whole setup here, and it's just easily the best theme. The i7 theme was pretty cool, actually putting and constructing the vehicle itself. The space race one, where you launch a rocket to the moon to bring back stuff like the Object 279, which is always seen as obviously a UFO tank, but this one to me is the best theme that they've done. The next one is, it's pretty straightforward to do it. Even though, you have this operation map, you have the workshop tab, you have all of these things, you have all of these factors in, it is a really simple event. You play anything, rank 2 and above, and you just play the game. You earn the boxes, you open the boxes, you make the men, and then what you do from there is, of course, you just literally just click on the map. Like bang, 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 bang. That's all you have to do. All you have to work out is how many of these you have to make, and then, going forward, you just basically see what you have to do in there. That's just it. It's just basic clicking, going through the operation and going through the workshop. It's very simple, very intuitive. You just have to go down each of the lines, and once you go down each of the lines, you just assault this, and then you obviously get the confidential notes after assaulting this, and then you can make the vehicles. It's really, really simple, right? It's a really easy event. It looks complicated because of the fact that a lot of it needs explaining, and you've got to make sure that you have your numbers correct when it comes to this. But overall, when it comes to challenges or when it comes to anything like that, all you have to do is just play the game. Now, we can obviously discuss, and we will do later on, how much you have to play the game, because obviously it's quite a lot. But at the end of the day, if you just boil down this event, it is just go into battles and play. So that's really good for the general person. And you can just play what you want. You can just relax. You don't have to play the meta, or you don't have to play, really good vehicles. You can just play anything you feel like, as long as it's rank 2 and above. Normally these events, when it comes to the challenge events, like Operation Heat, Operation Frost, Operation Summer, you need to play rank 3 and above. So the fact that this is rank 2 and above means that it's open to more people. It's open to more of the general community, and it means that you can grind, you know, like other nations that maybe you haven't touched before, because you can do it in this unique setting. So I think the fact it's open to more people is obviously better. The fact that there aren't like really heavy challenges, like, you know, you need to get X amount of kills in a game, or you need to get X amount of score in a game, opens it up to you can play, you know, kind of what you want. Like this event, I'm going to be, you know, researching a bunch of vehicles that I haven't really played too much, and spading them, you know, stuff like the ISU 152, stuff like the 122, the 122S, the ASU 85, vehicles that I would never normally play because of the fact that, you know, I'm already past them in the tree and somewhere else. But I've got a feeling that what I personally want to do is just go back and just kind of spade things. And the fact that this event is open to such a large amount, you know, in ranks wise, it means that I can do that, and that's just really nice to be able to do. The next one is the Build-A-Bear element in the workshop is really nice. You know, it feels like a story, especially with the sabotage element. You know, I talked about this before. Overall, the fact that it feels like you are doing different directions or different battles or strategies, different operations. The fact that you have that sabotage group, you can unlock different things, and the fact that you are releasing them from capture, you know, saving them, and then once you've saved them, they can help you out in other places. And every little thing has a little bit of text on it. You know, when it comes to these, as you can see, you know, when you sabotage these, it tells you what happens, and the fact that you are moving on to eventually assault the main defense line. It does feel really good. The whole thing set up is really nice, and as long as it all works properly, it is completely fine. And of course, you know, with the recipes, the catalyst, the die, the part B and the part A, it is pretty simple. You know, they could have made this a little bit more complicated, but it's completely fine. You know, you are making toy soldiers after all. The next part is, it would have been nice to have some replayable challenges to get some extra parts. So even though, you know, it's just play the game, basically, and play the game quite a lot, what would have been nice if there was some extra incentives to do over time. So what I mean by replayable challenges is, let's say there was a challenge which was like every 100 kills that you get, you could get 2 extra boxes or something. You know, 2 extra modeling materials. Or maybe every 10 wins you get an extra modeling material, or every so many assists you get a modeling material, and when you complete that challenge it resets itself, so therefore you can do it again. For me, I think that would be an awesome way to be able to keep people engaged, because every so often, you know, they would hit a challenge mark and they could get a nice little prize for it. So it would break up the monotony of having to play the games over and over and over again with some nice little prizes. So just little challenges here and there, whether it's just like play 30 games, or, you know, as I said, destroy 100 enemies, something like that would have been nice to see. Not necessary, but it would have also been a way to ease the grind for players who are, you know, incredibly good. And then you have the first places thing. I think limiting the first places to basically just be something where all you do is lower like the time for the grind. That's completely fine. First places in War Thunder, it's very easy to game them, especially at lower ranks, so I'm completely fine that it doesn't have a huge effect on the game. I'd rather have cumulative stuff, as I said, like kills, assists, score, you know, stuff like that matter a lot more. The first real issue with the event, though, is the same issue that a lot of these events have, but they have been slightly better in the past about certain events, but really bad about others. And it's the fact that we were told about this 1 day before it started. And this is not enough time, especially for this event. If you want to get everything in this event, it's going to take you, in battle time, probably around 65 to 70 hours. And obviously, this is something that people have to prepare for, whether it is, they have schooling, whether it is they have, work, whether it is they have whatever they might have, family stuff to tend to. You can't just expect people to drop everything for an event that you announced the day before. These things need a little bit more of a let know, basically, that they're happening, whether it's a week in advance. Like, you don't need to have the whole thing planned out and shown to everybody a week in advance, but you just have to say, look, we are aiming to hit this target, and we're going to do this either in a week or two, and this is what we're going for. This is a problem I had with World War Mode as well, even with the Season 3, where they did give us a decent amount of time, 2 weeks before the event started. They also needed us to grind a bunch of rank 7 and rank 6 vehicles, which of course is a lot to do in a 2-week period. So I suppose this one is better than the Space Race event. The Space Race event, we literally got told on the day that it was coming, so that was a bit of a shocker, if I've got to be honest with you. So at least it's better than that, but still a little bit more forewarning would be nice. Obviously we had the dev blogs and stuff, but that isn't confirmation of when the event is happening. What has to happen on the first dev blog, or as I said, a week in advance, is hello, we're doing an event. We can't tell you all the details, but we're aiming for this day. That's what it's got to be, and they've got to give a rough estimate of how long it's going to be. They've got to give a rough estimate of, the amount of time that's going to be involved. Otherwise, we're just going on previous experiences, and to be honest, like with these events, they're a little bit predictable on how much you're going to have to do, but there's always a curveball inside. And also, it's quite a heavy grind, let's be honest. The grind for the 4 vehicles is quite a lot, and, well, sorry, you can't even get 4 vehicles. The grind for 2 vehicles is quite a lot, talking about 66 to 70 hours of in-battle time, so not even just in-game time, in battle time. It's going to be, at least for me, 8 days of straight grinding for 2 vehicles. That is kind of crazy, especially even if you compare it to stuff like the Operation Summer event or the Operation Frost event. I was averaging about 6 to 7 hours every 2 days for that event, so technically this event is twice as hard as that event, and in that other one I got 6 vehicles. In this one I'm getting 2. So it's definitely a problem of the magnitude of the event. There's a ton of grinding in this one, and I think the prizes, obviously the STKFC 251 and the rest, not sure they live up to the amount that you have to grind, especially since the market is involved. Now, going on to the prizes, if we have a look at them, you got the Lübeck. That's a pretty cool ship. Its brother or sister ship in the German tech tree seems to be doing very well, so that should be a nice premium for people to pick up. Then you have the STKFC 251. Been looking forward to a 251 for a very long time. Lovely to see it. And then also we have the Makava Mark 3D and the BI. I think all of these are great vehicles to pick as event vehicles. The Makava, it's been explained many times that the Israelis will not get their own independent tech tree in the game, so in order to put the vehicles from Israel into the game, putting them into the American tech tree is completely fine. It's the only issue I have is it's quite a high BR vehicle. I don't really like the idea of having top rank and top BR vehicles as event vehicles. That generally, to me, smells a bit off, because it means that people with rank 2s which, you know, all you need to do this event is rank 2s can get a rank 7 vehicle just by grinding, and that will annihilate the matchmaker for a little bit more time. It will mean that getting decent stats on the matchmaker is going to be rough, just like with the M60 AMBT. It was a hell of a struggle with it. You know, you saw the win rates of it go very much down. There's a reason why it went down in BR as quickly as it did. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen with the Macabre, that we don't see a absolute ram-ranging of it. Hopefully it should be okay. Then we have, as I said, the Lubeck is a pretty nice pick. It basically is, do you want to research the sister ship, or do you want to just do the event and get it anyway? You know, that ship is 270,000 RP. It's quite a lot of RP, so this is kind of a quick way of being able to get that vehicle instead of grinding through the whole tech tree. The 251, great pick, as I said. The BI is a little bit of fun. I think it would have actually been better to be like a challenge event vehicle, just because of its weird and quirky nature. I think it's going to be one of those vehicles which is going to be overlooked now, and the reason for that is, well, because the Macabre exists. The big issue, though, for me, is all of these vehicles are American, German, and Soviet. The three major nations in the game, the three major nations that the majority of the community play. And I know that the argument from Gaijin is the fact that these are the majorly played nations. You know, we want to give the majority of players something that they'll use, and also for the other tech trees, the minor tech trees, you know, we want to focus on making those vehicles, you know, in tree or or premium vehicles for those trees, because they don't have many. I understand the point, I just disagree with it fundamentally. I think it's much better to use events like this to be able to give people special vehicles from places like China, from places like Italy, from places like France, so they actually play the tech trees of those nations, and give them an incentive to give it a go. What I saw after having a look at a lot of service records is a lot of people use the Orbal HVG to be able to get through the tree and play some of the higher ranking Italian stuff, the stuff that they didn't want to grind through, but instead, you know, use the Orbal to do it, and therefore that meant a lot more people played Italy. And with the fact that China still doesn't even have an event vehicle, whether it's in ground or whether it's in aviation, it's kind of sad to see it once again get snuffed. These two trees for China have been in the game for for how long now? For about a year. They were released, you know, last autumn, basically, and they still don't have any event vehicles, and they still don't have a ton of stuff going on for them. It would be nice, personally, just to see something which resembles a event vehicle for China. I do think China does have many options for this. I understand the information issue and the research issue, but there has to be one that gets picked from them. So yeah, kind of annoying, in my opinion, that is the case. And now the main critique that I have, and it's the main issue I've had with these events for what seems like since Operation Shipyard, even before that with Battlefield Engineer. The fact that you are limited by the grind to only get 2 vehicles out of the 4 is absolutely diabolical. Kirill Yudintsev, who's the CEO of Gaijin, I believe, he made a statement last year while doing a Q&A with our wonderful man Sean, and it was questions from the community basically, and it was actually a really nice thing. I hope they do something similar this year. It's really nice to get, you know, those types of live streams. And Kirill said for these events, because someone brought up the grindy nature of it, that these events are designed for the players in the community who are the most dedicated, who are the people who play all the time. You know, these events, if you have like a full-time job, you know, it's obviously going to be hard to do, but they do want to try and make these events for people who do have, you know, a lot of time on their hands, and then, you know, people can use the market afterwards. These events, it doesn't matter how much time you have. It doesn't matter how much you could sink 24 hours a day into this game for the whole time of you know, this strategist event, and you still won't get all 4 of the vehicles. You know, because of the fact that you are limited with the amount of stuff that drops from the vehicles to be able to create 4 of the classified documents. So therefore you can only make, you know, you can literally only make the STKFC 251 and then 1 of the respective vehicles. The fact that they also changed this one, so you needed 2 secret documents, meant that once again you are even more limited than previous ones, because now you can't choose, you know, one of the top vehicles, the Macabre or the BI, and also, you know, the ship. Now it's either you get the ship or you get the Macabre or the BI. So it's an incredibly hard choice to make for a lot of people, and I really dislike the fact that we are limited in what we can do. I think it would be much better if these events you were able to get everything, because as somebody who really enjoys, you know, War Thunder, I play it quite a lot. I enjoy the collecting element of it. I enjoy researching. I enjoy, you know, grinding through vehicles. I enjoy spading vehicles. That is what I enjoy about the game, and I enjoy the historical element of it. For me to have to pick between something like a Macabre Mark 3D and the BI is really frustrating, when I know for a fact if these were not limited, and even if you gave me insane, you know, numbers that I had to get, I would work very hard to try and get these with the time that I have, on top of my full-time job, on top of the family, on top of everything. I believe I could still do it, because, you know, for me, I see it as kind of like setting an example that I'm able to do this stuff. But because you are literally stopping me from doing that, it is incredibly frustrating. And the problem is that if there was, let's say, a justified, in my head, or not even justified, because of course you can justify it, but like a good reason behind it, I would be completely fine with it. But the reason is monetary. The reason is that they want more people to use the market. They want people to buy these vehicles after the fact on the Gaijin market, and therefore, because this event is spoiled by the monetary aspect of it, it leaves an incredibly bad taste in my mouth. And it's something I've said since, as I said, the Battlefield Engineer event. I'm not interested in events that are rigged against me. At least in this event, they tell you that it's rigged against you by giving you the total limits that you can get. Same with the Space Race event, so at least, you know, if you're going to get screwed, at least if you get told you're going to get screwed, it might give you a little bit of time to reflect and understand what's going on. In Battlefield Engineer, it was the worst, because it was literally built into the code that you were screwed, but they didn't tell you that, you know, you were screwed in the documentation. So, yeah, at least that's nice, you know. It's a silver lining, I suppose. But overall, yeah, I do think you should be able to grind out all of these vehicles, even if it literally meant 14 hours a day of grinding. At least it would mean that there would be something to work towards for getting all of the vehicles. I don't like these exclusive limited events. I'm fine with exclusive events, but since all of these are going to be coupons, so therefore you can get them on the market so people can get them afterwards. But at the same time, the idea that you could only get half of the stuff, no, that's really bad, and that is easily the worst part of this event, and will be the worst part of this event unless it changes. I would love to see how that statement last year about the most dedicated players, how does that apply to this situation? Because the only way that it applies to this situation is if you believe the most dedicated players are the one who are going to spend the most money. And in my opinion, that is a horrible standard to set, and definitely not one which, you know, should be seen as a positive. The last point is something that actually happened this morning while I was getting ready for work. So the one thing when it comes to the CC program, if you didn't know, we do get perks. We are able to request vehicles. We are able to request GE. We are able to request a lot of stuff in the game. It's a great program. You know, it's helped me a lot. Basically, I use it mainly to get certain things, such as certain premium vehicles from updates, so I can show you guys them, such as the Thunderbolt, you know, from last update. Which is obviously the here we go. It's the new Razorback Razorback P47 for the British. So yeah, I do use the CC program. I make sure people know that, you know, what I ask for or what I request. I never request like tree vehicles. I just request like certain premiums here and there, and also some GE, so I can be able to rejig my premium account when the offer comes around. Like, so when 365 days goes half off, I will be purchasing it with the GE to make sure that I keep my premium account, because I see premium account as one of those things that is required, especially if you play a decent rank. Now, one thing that happened this morning was the fact that, at least from the way that it was worded, a lot of CCs got a vehicle. The SD KFC 25110. Now, normally what happens with these events is vehicles are given test drives. This means that you get them for 30 days. This means that you can use them to make content while you are grinding the event, and then the vehicle disappears and you replace it with the coupon of what you ground out during the event. This means that if you want to sell the vehicle after grinding out and then keep the one that you get through the CC partnership, you can't. But for some reason this time, they've decided that the SDKFC 25110 should just be permanently put on people's accounts. No idea why. I don't know why this has changed. This was something I talked about in Operation Heat, where because you could double dip in Operation Heat. They gave you all of the vehicles when it came to Operation Heat, and then you could also grind them out at the same time doing the challenges. This meant that you had a second set of coupons which you didn't have to activate because you already had the vehicles, and you could sell them on the market. Do you see why this is an issue right now? This is an issue because as CCs, there is seen that we do have some sort of power when it comes to the sway of, you know, what people want to buy, what people want to sell, all of these things, especially on the Gaijin market and the Gaijin store. So if we're given stuff permanently and then we decide to grind it out afterwards, that means that we have extra coupons that we can sell on the Gaijin store. The Gaijin market. So therefore we have a monetary, or sorry, not a monetary, because Gaijin coin isn't really money, it's like a made up currency by Gaijin. We have a reason, or even if you don't have a reason, there is now this like shadow of doubt on what you are saying, because the people who watch the videos, or the people who watch the streams, or the people who watch the content, they can just turn around and say, well, you're lying to me, so you're going to bump up the price of the vehicle, so therefore there is more demand for it, so therefore you can get a higher price. And this is a real problem, because it means that people can lose trust, and also it leaves the door open to nefarious actors. It leaves the door open to people who literally go, oh, well, you know, this vehicle is actually really good. It's got, you know, looking at this vehicle, you know, they don't talk about any of the weaknesses. They just say the reload's awesome, you know, it has access to some really cool shells, the tracks are really nice, so you can move around a lot, decent survivability because of the crew of 5, and they don't talk about any of the downsides of it. Of course, people are going to be more interested in this vehicle than if before, if you actually explained everything about it, including the weaknesses. So now you've set CCs in a position where everything is going to be doubted because if they, you know, make content around it, there is some form of monetary gain that they can get from it by also grinding out the coupon for this vehicle. This is why I think it's been great the last few events, where what has happened is they've given out the test drives, so therefore CCs can't do this. But for some reason, as I said, now that's changed. Now we've been given a permanent 251, and this is not good for business. This is not good for impartiality. This is not good for an image point of view. It would have been much better for this to be a test drive. And even on top of that, right? So as I said, the main issue with this event is you can only grind out 2 things. But the key thing is you can only grind out 2 things, but every single one of those combinations already has a 251 in it. So you can either get the Lubeck in the 251, the Macabre in the 251, and the BI in the 251, right? Those are the 3 combos without looking at RNG elements. So no matter what happens, if you grind out this event to its entirety, which I'm sure a lot of CCs will do, you will get yourself a 251 coupon because of the fact of the way that it's structured. So we've got a permanent 251, and we've definitely got a coupon 251. So now, what do you do with the coupon? Well, you can't activate on your account because you already have it permanently. So therefore, you're going to have to sell it on the market. And therefore, you're going to get Gaijin coin out of it. And this, as I said, the more you pump up the price as a CC by, you know, claiming how good this vehicle is, increasing demand of it, then of course it's going to make it so you can shift public perception to an unwell level. So yeah, I really don't like this. I think this should be changed immediately. They should make them test drives instead of permanent ones. And the reason is because of that. I don't like the fact that I already have to deal with a bunch of people saying that because I'm part of the partnership program, therefore, you know, my beliefs, my opinions are not my own, even though they are. And literally right now, I'm technically arguing against my best interests, right? Because for me, it would be best just to shut up about this and just keep the coupon, and then I can make some Gaijin coin, and then I can do some stuff with it. So the idea that, you know, the idea that for me it's something that I'll just let happen is not something that's in my brain. So yeah, it sucks. I hope they change this and go back to the old system, so we can't be accused of bias, even if there isn't any. And also at the same time, you know, it leaves a bad taste in the mouth because of some of the stuff that has been happening recently behind the scenes. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Trigger Hippie, Universe, Conte Baraka, Elove Goat, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Hans, and Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.